Soweto now, where a memorial service for Khayalethu Magadla will be held today. He fell into a manhole last month. His body was recovered 3 weeks after he had disappeared. It was found in the Klipspruit waterways treatment plant. eNCA's Linda joins us now from Soweto. Good morning, Linda. What are we expecting at today's event, particularly insofar as dignitaries being in attendance?
Well, we haven't had any confirmation of some of the people that will be attending here, except that the community as well as the family will be paying tribute, will be remembering the life of 6-year-old Khayalethu Magadla, who fell into a manhole, as you rightfully say, about 3 weeks ago. This was on the 12th of June, and that was when the story, really a painful story, had started. And our viewers, I'm sure they would know that they've been getting an update from us in terms of the search that lasted for about 20 days or at least 3 weeks. Trying to find and locate Khayalethu Magadla. And this was a huge scope of work for some of the rescue technicians, as well as those that had been part of the search and recovery teams. But essentially, they had to go through a pipeline that is about 9 kilometers from where we are at this park. It's Dlamini Eco Park, all the way to the split chamber there by Klipspruit. And I can tell you that this scope of work entailed about 30 manholes that they needed to search, and they did this in 20 days. But eventually, when they started their focus, when they've cleared the pipeline, they were then able to locate Khayalethu Magadla at one of the pipes after just passing the split chamber. So that is the excruciating story that we've been telling our viewers. But I can tell you that Mfundo, one of the things that has happened was that last week they were able to locate the 6-year-old, and what you are seeing today is the continuation of the narration, really, of this painful story for the Magadla family. During the search, they themselves were saying that after so much time, they do believe that they will not find him alive. But one of the things that the father said when we touched base with him after they found the body, after it was positively identified, is that he was proud of his little boy, despite the fact that he has passed away. He found him in one piece after being in a sewage system for about 20 days. He was still wearing his sneakers, he was still wearing his shorts, as well as the t-shirt that he could easily identify him with. And the fact that he was still intact and not necessarily having decomposed, he says that this tells him that this was a champion, a true champion. But what is expected to happen today, as I move out of shot, my colleague will show you, this is the memorial service here. You are seeing the setting they are setting up. In terms of that memorial service, there will be some people that are coming, including EMS. I see some of the vehicles outside here, but you are seeing a photo of the 6-year-old Khayalethu Magadla just there by the podium. And this is where speeches, we're expecting testimonies of the 6-year-old's life, what he meant to his family, what he meant to his teachers at the preschool, and what he meant really to the public here, the community here. But the important one that my colleague is showing you right now is that this indeed was the life of a 6-year-old, very young, and you see there that some of their peers will also be here from the preschool. They will also be part of those that are attending here, and it just goes to show just how much of a tragedy this was and how much of a huge loss it is for the family. Someone who had his whole life, entire life in front of him, but that life completely snatched away by, in fact, a manhole that was left uncovered. So that is the story that we continue to narrate, but we do understand that the finality of this story for the family will be next week when they travel to Eastern Cape to lay the 6-year-old to rest.
You know, those little chairs are really heartbreaking when you just realize how young Khayalethu was. But how has the community been insofar as their relationship with the city? Because they were quite infuriated, because they say that for the longest time they had been calling for some of these manholes to be closed. What is the status quo now insofar as the community is concerned?
Well, the community has been promised. They were outraged, you are right. They were questioning the city as well as Johannesburg Water to say, why is there an open manhole in a park, no less? So those are some of the questions they had. But when the City of Johannesburg Mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse visited the family, she did say that she got some complaints from the community, and what they had done was to institute, in fact, an investigation, because the community had claimed that these manholes were reported, but the city never acted acted swiftly. So that investigation, we understood, was ongoing. We are yet to understand exactly what the outcomes of that investigations are, or even if it was initiated, or even if it had ended. So those are some of the things that the community waits patiently for. But I can tell you that today, for this community in Dlamini, it is about observing this moment of saying that a family has lost a loved one and coming together to try and help them in terms of actually coming to terms with what has happened. But one of the things we've been told, receiving information around the manholes in the city of Johannesburg, it's not the first time, of course, that this incident had happened. MMC for Public Safety, David Dembe, told us that unfortunately in 2004, when he was still in JMPD, he in fact witnessed a similar story, and up to today, it is 2022, there are still similar stories. So someone really needs to account, and the person or the organization they are looking at is Johannesburg Water, which is responsible for about 1.4 million of these manholes in and around the city of Johannesburg. They themselves have told us that there are other things that they are trying, including putting detectors in these particular manholes and also replacing them with a plastic instead of using steel. That brings about the element of vandalism as well as stealing for scrap metal. So those are some of the information, those are some of the things we've received as far as these manholes are concerned. But I can tell you that as we speak today, these are ideas, these are some of the things they are trying to take as measures, but they have not been taken. And in fact, many other manholes remain open in and around the city of Johannesburg. And it just goes to show just how much of a pending or an impending issue this brings about, because children do play in these parks, and if there is a manhole, you cannot question children as to why they were playing in a park. But the question is, what are we going to do about these manholes? And it's a question that remains unanswered, Mfundo.
Very unfortunate that they wouldn't move with speed now, given what has happened, unfortunately, to Khayalethu. Lindokuhle, we'll leave it there for now and catch up as soon as the program gets underway. That's our reporter, Lindokuhle Kulu, out in Soweto for us. More news and